Most people believe they would recognize a wealthy person instantly. They imagine luxury cars, designer clothing, grand houses, expensive watches, and confident displays of success. They assume wealth is something that shines outward, something obvious, something visible. And because of this assumption, many people spend their entire lives chasing the appearance of wealth rather than its substance. But real wealth often looks like nothing at all. It looks like an ordinary house on an ordinary street, an older car driven carefully, simple clothing chosen for comfort, a person who never speaks about money, a neighbor no one suspects is financially free. This is the quiet contradiction at the heart of wealth. What is most visible is often the most fragile. What is most invisible is often the most secure. The millionaire next door does not look like a millionaire. And that is precisely why they became one. Not by accident, not by luck, but by living in a way most people overlook. This audiobook is not about dramatic success stories. It is about ordinary behavior repeated for extraordinary lengths of time. It is about the financial power of modesty, patience, emotional control, and long vision. It is about how real wealth grows quietly beneath the surface while the world is distracted by noise. You will not hear promises of fast money here. You will not hear pressure to hustle. You will not hear hype about secret strategies. Instead, you will hear the slow mechanics of stability. The behaviors that create financial breathing room. The choices that protect peace of mind. The quiet decisions that separate financial freedom from financial anxiety. The millionaire next door is not defined by income. Many quiet millionaires never earned extraordinary salaries. Some owned small businesses. Some worked steady professions. Some lived in the same home for decades. Some drove the same car for years. Their wealth did not come from massive earnings. It came from consistent surplus. Surplus is the true seed, not income, not inheritance, but the small difference between what comes in and what goes out. Most people focus on increasing income. Very few focus on protecting surplus. But surplus, not income, builds wealth. A person earning modest income with consistent surplus will outpace a high earner with no surplus. This is arithmetic, not opinion. And yet, this truth is rarely followed. Because the culture does not reward surplus. The culture rewards display. Display signals success. Surplus creates success. Display consumes money. Surplus multiplies money. Display is loud. Surplus is silent. Silence is not attractive to the ego, but silence is attractive to compounding. Compounding is slow. Compounding is patient. Compounding works best when undisturbed. And this is why quiet wealth builders protect their privacy. They do not announce progress. They do not seek validation. They do not need to be seen winning. They are not playing the same game as the crowd. The crowd competes in visibility. Quiet accumulators compete in independence. Independence is the real finish line. Not a number, not a lifestyle, not a title. Independence means not being trapped by bills, not being forced into work you hate, not being one emergency away from collapse, not being controlled by fear. This independence is built gradually, almost invisibly, year after year, choice after choice, decision after decision. None dramatic on its own, all powerful together. And because these decisions are quiet, most people never notice them. They see only the end result, if they see it at all. But by then, the person no longer needs recognition. That is the paradox of quiet wealth. The less you need to prove, the more secure you become. The more secure you become, the less you need to prove. This loop is self-reinforcing. Most people live inside the opposite loop. The more they want to appear successful, the more they spend. The more they spend, the less secure they become. The less secure they become, the more they feel the need to appear successful. This loop is exhausting. and it is invisible until a crisis reveals it. Quiet wealth builders exit this loop early. They stop playing the appearance game. They stop racing neighbors. They stop competing in lifestyle. They quietly choose a different scoreboard. Their scoreboard is net worth, not visible worth. Freedom, not flash. Margin, not image. Stability, not applause. And once this scoreboard is chosen, behavior changes naturally. They buy fewer things, but own what they buy. They borrow less, but sleep better. They plan longer, but worry less. They grow slower, but last longer. Longevity is the ultimate proof of wealth. Anyone can appear rich for a year. Very few can remain free for a lifetime. The millionaire next door is not impressive in a single moment. They are impressive across decades. And that is what we explore in this listening journey. Not how to get rich fast, but how to become quietly, steadily, and irreversibly financially free. So allow the pace to slow, allow the mind to soften, allow comparison to fade. Nothing here needs to be rushed. This is deep listening, long horizon thinking, quiet wealth understanding. The next section explores the illusion of visible wealth, why the world mistakes appearance for prosperity, and how seeing through this illusion changes everything. The illusion of visible wealth is one of the most powerful stories modern society has ever created. It whispers to people that success must be seen to be real, that money must announce itself, that prosperity must be displayed, that if others cannot see your wealth, then perhaps it does not exist. This illusion is everywhere, in advertising, in entertainment, in social media, in cultural expectation. It trains the mind from an early age to equate consumption with achievement. A new car becomes proof of progress. A larger house becomes evidence of growth. Designer clothing becomes identity. A luxury lifestyle becomes the badge of arrival. And because this story is repeated constantly, most people never question it. They simply participate. But participation has a cost. Visible wealth is expensive to maintain. Every display must be renewed. Every lifestyle upgrade becomes the new baseline. Every baseline demands a higher income. Every higher income brings higher pressure, and pressure quietly erodes freedom. This is why many people who appear rich are, in reality, financially fragile. They earn a lot, they spend a lot, they owe a lot. They worry a lot. They worry a lot. Their lifestyle depends on continuous performance. A job loss, a health issue, a market downturn. Any disruption threatens collapse. From the outside, they look successful. From the inside, they feel trapped. The tragedy is that they often do not realize they are trapped until years have passed. The illusion promised freedom, but delivered dependency. Quiet wealth builders see through this illusion early. It's not because they are smarter, but because they observe more carefully. They notice that the people with the biggest houses often talk most about money, stress. They notice that those who flaunt luxury often seem anxious about maintaining it. They notice that visible success often comes with invisible pressure. This observation plants a different question in the mind. What if real wealth is the opposite of what is shown? What if real wealth is what remains when no one is watching? What if the true measure of prosperity is not how life looks, but how life feels? This shift in questioning changes everything. Once a person understands that visible wealth is often performative, they become less interested in performance. They no longer spend to be seen. They begin to spend to serve real needs. Needs are finite. Wants are infinite. Performance feeds wants. Substance serves needs. Quiet accumulators choose substance. They understand that every dollar spent on performance is a dollar not working for freedom. They see money as labor. Each dollar can either work for the present moment or be sent forward to build the future. Most people spend their dollars on applause. Quiet wealth builders send their dollars to work. This is not because they lack desire. It is because they understand exchange. They exchange short-term admiration for long-term independence. They exchange momentary pleasure for durable security. They exchange image for margin. Margin is the unsung hero of financial life. Margin means extra. Extra time, extra savings. Extra patience, extra capacity to handle surprise. Visible wealth often eliminates margin. Every resource is committed to maintaining the image. There is no extra, no cushion, no flexibility. Quiet wealth preserves margin. Margin softens life. When life softens, decision-making improves. When decision-making improves, long-term outcomes improve. This is why quiet wealth compounds in both money and well-being. Visible wealth, by contrast, amplifies volatility. When income is high, lifestyle expands. When income falls, stress spikes. The system is unstable. Quiet wealth is stable. Stability is rarely exciting, but excitement is not the goal. Peace is. Peace is the ability to wake up without dread, to face uncertainty without panic, to make decisions without desperation. This peace is purchased not by luxury, but by margin. And margin is created not by earning more, but by needing less. Need less, and you become powerful. Not over others, but over circumstance. Circumstance controls those who have no margin. Circumstance bends to those who do. This is why quiet wealth builders often live in modest neighborhoods. They do not need to live in prestigious areas to confirm their identity. Their identity is internal. External validation becomes unnecessary. When external validation is unnecessary, spending drops naturally. When spending drops, surplus rises. When surplus rises, wealth grows. Again, the loop appears. Most people chase visible wealth because they believe it will grant respect. But respect gained through performance is unstable. It depends on continued display. Quiet wealth builders gain self-respect first. They respect their own future enough to invest in it. They respect their own peace enough to protect it. They respect their own time enough to plan long. Self-respect is internal. It does not require witnesses. When self-respect is strong, external respect becomes optional. This is the psychological liberation at the heart of quiet wealth. You no longer need to prove, so you no longer overspend. So you accumulate. So you become free. The illusion of visible wealth collapses once you see this clearly. You realize that many who appear rich are actually working for their lifestyle, and many who appear ordinary are living from their assets. This reversal is shocking the first time you truly see it, but once seen, it cannot be unseen. And from that moment forward, your decisions begin to change. Not through force, through understanding. The next part explores the psychology of quiet accumulators, how their thinking patterns differ from the crowd, and how these patterns can be learned rather than inherited. Quiet wealth builders do not think about money the way most people do. The difference is subtle, but over time, it becomes decisive. Where others see money as a tool for lifestyle, they see money as a tool for stability. Where others see spending as reward, they see spending as responsibility. Where others focus on what money can buy today, they focus on what money can protect tomorrow. This difference begins in mindset, not math. Most people think, how much do I earn? Quiet accumulators think, how much do I keep? This single shift changes behavior. Income becomes potential. Surplus becomes progress. Progress becomes identity. The psychology of quiet accumulators is rooted in delayed gratification, but not the harsh kind, not the clenched teeth kind. Their delay is peaceful because they are not depriving themselves of something essential. They are postponing what is unnecessary. They enjoy life. They celebrate. They spend on what matters to them personally. But they are not pulled by the gravity of comparison. Their reference point is internal, not external. Internal reference points are stable. External reference points are volatile. When satisfaction depends on what others display, it can never settle. There will always be someone with more. When satisfaction depends on your own trajectory, it becomes calm. Progress is measured against yesterday, not against the world. This internal measurement protects emotional energy. Emotional energy is precious. Every time someone feels behind, inferior, or excluded, emotional energy leaks. Leaking emotional energy weakens persistence. Weak persistence weakens compounding. Quiet accumulators guard emotional energy as carefully as financial energy. They do not consume envy-inducing media excessively. They do not follow endless lifestyle feeds. They do not measure their worth against strangers. They protect their attention. Attention is the first currency. Where attention goes, behavior follows. Where behavior follows, results appear. Most people spend attention on what they cannot afford. Quiet accumulators spend attention on what they can control. This difference feels small. But over years, it separates financial peace from financial frustration. Another psychological pattern appears in how quiet accumulators relate to discomfort. Most people flee financial discomfort immediately. A small debt feels intolerable. A market downturn feels like disaster. A slow month feels like failure. They react quickly to remove discomfort, often at long-term cost. Quiet accumulators tolerate mild discomfort for long-term benefit. They can watch investments fluctuate without panic. They can drive an older car without shame. They can live in a smaller home without insecurity. They can say no to impulse spending without feeling deprived. This tolerance is not coldness. It is maturity. Maturity understands that short-term discomfort often prevents long-term suffering. A small discomfort today prevents a large crisis tomorrow. Most people choose comfort now and discomfort later. Quiet accumulators choose mild discomfort now and comfort later. Time magnifies these choices. Another key psychological trait is financial humility. Quiet accumulators do not assume they are smarter than the market. They do not gamble recklessly. They do not believe they can outwit randomness consistently. They accept uncertainty as part of life. This acceptance creates stability. Those who believe they must always win take excessive risk. Excessive risk occasionally pays off, but often destroys years of progress in one moment. Quiet accumulators aim not to win big, but to avoid losing big. Avoiding catastrophic loss is more important than achieving spectacular gain. This principle alone separates most long-term wealthy individuals from long-term strugglers. Quiet accumulators play defense first, offense second. Defense protects compounding. Compounding is the quiet engine. Compounding does not need brilliance. It needs consistency. Consistency is psychological. When emotions are stable, consistency is natural. When emotions swing wildly, consistency breaks. Quiet accumulators cultivate emotional steadiness. They do not celebrate market highs excessively. They do not despair at market lows dramatically. They keep their emotional temperature low. Low emotional temperature allows rational decisions. Rational decisions preserve wealth. Wealth preservation is more important than wealth creation. Creation can happen again and again. Destruction may not be recoverable. This is why many quiet accumulators appear cautious. But caution here is not fear. It is respect for arithmetic. Arithmetic always wins in the end. Another psychological difference lies in how quiet accumulators view time. They are willing to wait. Waiting is rare. Waiting is uncomfortable in a culture of instant results. But waiting is where compounding grows. Quiet accumulators are not impatient. They do not demand proof immediately. They allow plans to unfold. This ability to wait quietly is one of the rarest human skills. one of the most profitable. Most people quit in the waiting phase. Quiet accumulators stay. Staying is the edge. Finally, quiet accumulators have a different relationship with pride. They do not need to appear ahead. They do not need to announce success. They do not need recognition for discipline. They are willing to look ordinary. This willingness is powerful because looking ordinary costs nothing, and costing nothing allows everything else to grow. This is why the millionaire next door blends into the neighborhood. They are not trying to stand out. They are trying to stabilize. Stability is invisible, but stability is what freedom rests upon. All of these psychological traits can be learned. None require genius. None require privilege. None require extreme sacrifice. Only awareness. Small, consistent choices, and respect for time. The next part explores where most people acquire their opposite habits, inherited money scripts, and how rewriting those scripts quietly changes financial destiny. Long before anyone earns their first paycheck, they inherit a story about money. Not through lessons or textbooks, but through observation. Children watch how adults speak about bills, debt, success, risk, and security. They absorb emotional reactions. They sense anxiety. They notice pride. They witness arguments. They hear silence. These impressions settle quietly and become money scripts. Most adults never question these scripts. They simply live them out. If a child grows up seeing money as something always scarce, they may grow into an adult who hoards but never invests. If a child sees money used to impress others, they may grow into an adult who spends to feel worthy. If a child watches parents fight about finances, they may grow into an adult who avoids financial conversations entirely. If a child sees money handled calmly and quietly, they may grow into an adult who treats money as a neutral tool. These scripts run in the background like invisible software. And unless examined, they quietly dictate financial behavior for decades. Quiet accumulators are not born different. They simply become aware of their inherited scripts and choose to rewrite them. Rewriting a script begins with noticing it. Noticing the emotional reaction when spending. Noticing the discomfort when discussing money. Noticing the pride when purchasing something unnecessary. Noticing the fear when looking at account balances. These reactions are not random. They are learned. Once noticed, they can be softened. And once softened, behavior can change without force. Many people think wealth building is about learning financial tactics, but tactics are easy. The real work is psychological. It is learning to respond differently to the same emotional triggers. Where a spending script once said, "Buy it to feel successful," the new script says, "Wait and decide calmly." Where an avoidance script once said, "Don't look at the numbers," the new script says, "Numbers are neutral." Where a scarcity script once said, "Spend before it disappears," the new script says, "Resources grow when protected." These small rewrites are invisible from the outside, but over years, they alter destiny. Inherited scripts also shape what people believe is possible. If no one in a family has ever invested, investing feels dangerous. If no one has delayed gratification, saving feels unnatural. If no one has lived below their means, modesty feels like failure. Quiet accumulators expand what feels normal. They become the first in their lineage to treat money calmly. The first to plan in decades. The first to see wealth as stability rather than display. Once one person changes the script, future generations inherit a different story. This is how generational wealth actually begins, with inheritance, but with rewritten beliefs. A parent who calmly saves teaches safety. A parent who invests teaches patience. A parent who avoids lifestyle inflation teaches margin. A parent who does not worship brands teaches identity independence. Children raised in these environments grow up thinking these behaviors are natural. They do not experience wealth building as sacrifice. They experience it as normal life. This is why quiet wealth often persists across generations once established, because the script has changed at the root. But changing scripts requires awareness. And awareness requires slowing down enough to observe oneself. Most people stay busy. Busy minds cannot see scripts. Busy lives reinforce old habits. Quiet accumulators create mental space. They pause before purchases. They reflect after decisions. They think about consequences before acting. This thinking time is rare, but it is powerful. In a culture built on impulse, the person who pauses gains advantage. They ask different questions. Not, can I afford this? But, does this serve my long-term life? Not, what will others think? But, how will I feel about this in 10 years? Not, will this impress? But, will this free me? These questions rewrite scripts automatically. Another inherited script many people carry is the belief that wealth requires extreme risk or extraordinary talent. Quiet accumulators dissolve this belief. They understand that most wealth is built by ordinary people doing ordinary things consistently for a long time. Once this belief settles, envy fades, because success no longer feels inaccessible. It feels procedural. Procedural wealth is calm. Mythical wealth is stressful. Quiet accumulators believe in procedure. Budgets, surplus, invest, wait, protect, repeat, no drama, no hero story. No gamble, just quiet arithmetic. Another script many inherit is associating money with morality. Some are taught money is greed, others are taught money is status. Both distort behavior. Quiet accumulators see money as neutral, neither good nor bad, simply a tool that amplifies existing character. If someone is anxious, money amplifies anxiety. If someone is generous, money amplifies generosity. If someone is disciplined, money amplifies discipline. Seeing money as neutral removes emotional distortion. It allows calm interaction with financial reality. This neutrality is rare, but once learned, it becomes a stable foundation. One of the most powerful inherited scripts is urgency. Many people grow up watching adults rush to earn, rush to spend, rush to fix, rush to survive. Quiet accumulators replace urgency with horizon thinking. They think in years, then decades, then generational arcs. When horizon lengthens, urgency softens. And when urgency softens, better decisions appear. This is why quiet wealth builders seem unhurried, because their timeline is long. A short timeline demands speed. A long timeline invites patience. Once a person lives inside a long timeline, temporary fluctuations lose power. A market drop is not disaster. A slow month is not failure. A missed opportunity is not catastrophe. There will be more cycles. This long horizon is a rewritten script. And once rewritten, life becomes lighter. Money becomes quieter. Future becomes less frightening. This is why Part 3 matters so deeply. Wealth building is not only financial, it is psychological reprogramming. A new story running in the background of daily life. The next part explores investment temperament, how quiet accumulators behave in markets, uncertainty and risk, and why their emotional steadiness becomes their greatest financial advantage. Most people believe investing is about intelligence, about finding the right stock, the right market, the right moment, the right prediction. They imagine successful investors as fast thinkers, sharp analyzers, people who act decisively while others hesitate. But the quiet wealth builders know a different truth. Long-term investing success is not primarily about intelligence. It is about temperament. Temperament is the ability to remain steady when others become emotional, to remain patient when others become urgent, to remain consistent when others become reactive. Temperament is emotional stability in financial form. Most investing mistakes are not caused by lack of knowledge. They are caused by emotional surges. fear during downturns, greed during booms, panic during uncertainty, excitement during trends. Quiet accumulators experience these emotions too. They are human, but they do not obey them automatically. They feel them, observe them, and choose slower responses. This pause between feeling and action is their greatest financial advantage. When markets rise sharply, many people feel pressure to jump in quickly, fearing they will miss out. Quiet accumulators continue their plan. They buy according to schedule. They do not chase excitement. When markets fall sharply, many people feel fear and urgency to escape loss. Quiet accumulators continue their plan. They buy according to schedule. They do not flee discomfort. In both cases, they look almost indifferent. But inside, they are simply loyal to process over emotion. Process is calm. Emotion is weather. Weather changes daily. Process runs quietly for decades. Quiet accumulators trust process. This trust is not blind faith. It is understanding arithmetic. They know that markets fluctuate. They know downturns are normal. They know long horizons absorb volatility. They know compounding requires staying invested. Because they understand this, they do not react dramatically to temporary movements. They stay in the game. Staying in the game is the rarest investing skill. Many people enter markets. Few remain through full cycles. Most exit at exactly the wrong time, locking in loss and missing recovery. Quiet accumulators do the opposite. They remain present. They allow time to work. Time is the real investor. Money left alone in productive assets tends to grow, but only if it is left alone. Interference is costly. Checking accounts obsessively, reading endless predictions, reacting to every headline. These behaviors create emotional turbulence. Turbulence invites action. Unnecessary action erodes, returns. Quiet accumulators simplify. They choose broad, durable strategies. They automate. They reduce decision points. They remove friction. Less decision-making means fewer emotional mistakes. They understand a subtle truth. Doing nothing is often the most profitable action. Doing nothing feels uncomfortable. It feels like inaction. But in investing, unnecessary action is often harmful. Quiet accumulators are comfortable doing nothing. They do not need constant excitement. They do not seek entertainment from markets. They treat investing like planting a tree. Water, protect, wait. Not dig up roots every week to check growth. Another aspect of investment temperament is humility. Quiet accumulators do not believe they can predict the future reliably. They do not build fragile strategies that require perfect timing. They build robust strategies that survive imperfect conditions. Robustness is more important than brilliance. A brilliant strategy that collapses under stress is inferior to a simple strategy that survives storms. Quiet accumulators choose survival first, growth second. They avoid leverage that can wipe them out. They avoid concentration that can destroy them. They avoid speculation that can derail decades of progress. They accept slower gains in exchange for durability. Durability is freedom. Freedom is not maximal returns in a good year. Freedom is never needing rescue in a bad year. This is why quiet accumulators appear conservative, but in reality, they are being aggressive about protecting their future. They are willing to sacrifice excitement to secure independence. Another dimension of temperament is emotional detachment from outcomes. Quiet accumulators do not see every gain as proof of brilliance or every loss as proof of failure. They see both as expected variance in a long journey. This detachment keeps ego out of investing. Ego is expensive. Ego wants to prove. Ego wants to win. Ego wants to be right. Markets punish ego eventually. Quiet accumulators do not need to be right. They need to be consistent. Consistency beats correctness. Correct once means little. Consistent over decades changes life. Quiet accumulators understand that missing one opportunity is irrelevant. There will always be another cycle, another trend, another investment. But losing discipline once can destroy momentum. So they guard discipline. Discipline is not force. It is routine. Routine investing removes emotion from the equation. Automatic contributions, simple allocation, periodic rebalancing, minimal interference. This routine is boring, but boring is effective. Boring does not make headlines. Boring makes millionaires next door. Another trait of strong investment temperament is realistic expectation. Quiet accumulators do not expect straight lines. They expect setbacks. They expect slow years. They expect dull decades. They plan for disappointment. Because they plan for disappointment, disappointment does not break them. Most people plan only for success. When success does not arrive immediately, they quit. Quiet accumulators plan for variance. They endure. Endurance is the hidden edge. And endurance is psychological. It is built by understanding that wealth building is not a sprint. It is not a performance. It is a quiet, repetitive act of faith in arithmetic. A DD surplus. Invest surplus. Protect surplus. Wait, repeat for long enough, and results appear. Not suddenly, gradually, almost invisibly. And one day, freedom arrives quietly, without drama, without applause. This is the power of investment temperament. The next part explores identity and consumption, how quiet accumulators separate who they are from what they own, and why this separation is the foundation of lasting wealth. One of the quietest but most powerful shifts a person can make on the path to wealth is separating identity from consumption. Most people never do this. They fuse who they are with what they own. Their clothing becomes personality. Their car becomes status. Their home becomes self-worth. Their spending becomes proof of existence. When identity is tied to possessions, spending becomes emotional. And emotional spending rarely serves long-term freedom. Quiet accumulators untangle this connection. They understand that possessions are tools, not definitions. A car is for transportation. A home is for shelter. Clothing is for comfort. None of these say anything meaningful about the worth of the person inside them. This understanding is deeply liberating. Because once identity is no longer built on consumption, consumption becomes rational. Rational consumption costs less. Lower costs create surplus. Surplus builds wealth. Wealth builds freedom. This chain begins not in the bank account, but in self-concept. Many people consume to feel successful. Quiet accumulators feel successful because they are becoming free. They do not need objects to tell them who they are. Their direction gives them identity. Direction is stronger than display. Display seeks approval. Direction creates confidence. Confidence without display is quiet power. This is why quiet wealth builders can walk into any environment without needing to signal status. They do not need to announce importance. They know their stability. They carry their identity internally. This internal identity is immune to economic swings. If markets fall, their self-worth does not fall with them. If income fluctuates, their sense of self remains intact. Most people suffer financially because their identity is financially fragile. When money feels tight, they feel small. When money flows, they feel large. This emotional volatility drives poor decisions. Quiet accumulators stabilize identity first. Money becomes secondary. When identity is stable, financial decisions become clearer. Another aspect of identity and consumption is the courage to look ordinary. This sounds simple, but in a culture built on constant comparison, it is rare. Looking ordinary requires emotional independence. It means being comfortable driving a modest car while others upgrade, Being comfortable living in a smaller home while others expand. Being comfortable wearing simple clothing while others display brands. This comfort is not resignation, it is choice. Quiet accumulators do not live modestly because they cannot spend more. They live modestly because they do not need to spend more. This distinction matters. Choice is empowering, a constraint is painful. Quiet accumulators choose modesty freely, and because it is chosen, it feels dignified, not deprived. This chosen modesty creates powerful financial leverage. Every unnecessary expense avoided becomes capital. Every capital unit becomes a worker. Every worker produces more capital. Every cycle strengthens independence. All of this begins with a simple decision. I am not what I consume. Another consumption pattern most people follow is emotional reward spending. Stressful day, buy something. Celebration, buy something. Boredom, buy something. Buy something. This pattern trains the brain to seek objects as emotional regulation tools. Quiet accumulators find different regulators. Walking, reading, silence, time with loved ones, rest. These cost little, but they restore emotional balance. When emotional balance does not require spending, surplus appears naturally. This is one of the least discussed secrets of wealth building: emotional self-regulation. People who cannot regulate emotion without spending rarely accumulate wealth. People who can self-regulate cheaply create financial breathing room. Quiet accumulators cultivate low-cost joys: a cup of tea, a quiet evening, a simple meal, a peaceful home. None of these require high income, but they produce high contentment. High contentment reduces consumption pressure. Reduced pressure increases surplus. Contentment is a financial asset, not complacency, not stagnation, but peace with enough. Enough is a powerful word. Most people never define it. They live in perpetual more space, more features, more upgrades, more luxury. But more has no finish line. Quiet accumulators define enough. Enough space, enough comfort, enough quality, enough convenience. Once enough is defined, spending stops automatically beyond that line. Everything beyond enough becomes optional, not required. Optional spending is rare. Required spending is heavy. Quiet accumulators convert most consumption from required to optional. Optional spending can be delayed. Delayed spending can be invested. Invested surplus compounds. This is how identity, contentment, and wealth quietly interlock. Another layer of identity freedom appears when quiet accumulators stop needing to impress people they do not know. Most lifestyle spending is social signaling to strangers or distant peers. But quiet accumulators invest in relationships that matter, not audiences that do not. They may spend generously on family experiences, on helping loved ones, on meaningful gatherings, but they do not spend to impress observers. This redirection of spending increases life quality while reducing financial leakage. Quality of life rises. Quantity of spending falls. This is the quiet upgrade. Not more spending, better spending. Better spending produces happier life with lower cost. Lower cost produces greater surplus. Greater surplus produces greater freedom. Again, the quiet loop. All of this begins with identity detaching from consumption. Once that detachment is achieved, wealth building becomes natural, not forced. No white-knuckling, no extreme sacrifice. No deprivation mindset, just calm clarity. The next part explores time and compounding. How quiet accumulators use time as their greatest ally, and why patience is the ultimate wealth multiplier. If there is one force that quiet accumulators respect more than income, more than intelligence, more than opportunity, it is time. Time is the silent partner in every lasting fortune. It does not require motivation. It does not require talent. It only requires permission to work. Most people never give time that permission. They interrupt it. They rush it. They demand immediate proof. They abandon plans before time can do its job. Quiet accumulators treat time differently. They trust it. They cooperate with it. They allow it to operate without interference. This cooperation is compounding. Compounding is simple to describe, but difficult to live. Small amounts, left alone, become larger amounts. Small disciplines, repeated daily, become powerful habits. Small surpluses, invested consistently, become financial independence. But compounding has a psychological barrier. In the beginning, nothing appears to happen. Weeks pass, months pass. Even years can pass with results that feel modest. And in that quiet early phase, most people quit. They decide it is not working. They look for something faster, something louder, something more dramatic. Quiet accumulators do the opposite. They understand the early phase of compounding is invisible. They do not expect applause from seeds. They know seeds grow underground first. Roots form before branches appear. This metaphor is lived reality. A savings habit feels pointless in year 1. An investment portfolio feels small in year 3. A modest lifestyle feels unrewarded in year 5. But in year 10, patterns begin to show. In year 15, options appear. In year 20, independence becomes real. Most people never stay long enough to see year 10. Quiet accumulators stay. Staying is the secret advantage that cannot be copied quickly. Time multiplies. Whatever behavior is repeated. Spending is repeated, debt compounds. If impulsivity is repeated, instability compounds. If avoidance is repeated, fragility compounds. Time does not discriminate. It multiplies both wisdom and error. Quiet accumulators align their habits so time multiplies in their favor. They automate saving. They automate investing. They simplify choices. They remove emotional triggers. Once behavior is automated, time works without supervision. This is why quiet wealth builders appear relaxed about money. They have already set time in motion. They no longer need to push. Pushing is exhausting. Allowing is powerful. Another dimension of time is horizon. Most people think in weeks or months. Some think in years. Quiet accumulators think in decades. A decade-long horizon changes everything. A market downturn is no longer terrifying. A slow income year is no longer catastrophic. A missed opportunity is no longer painful. Because there is room. Room to recover, room to adapt, room to wait. This long horizon creates emotional stability. Emotional stability preserves consistency. Consistency invites compounding. The trio is inseparable. Time horizon, emotional stability, consistent action. Together, they build quiet wealth. There is also a biological truth here. Human beings evolve to seek immediate reward. Delayed reward feels unnatural at first. Quiet accumulators gently train themselves out of this wiring. They practice waiting in small ways until waiting becomes normal. They wait before purchasing. They wait before reacting. They wait before changing strategy. Each small wait strengthens the patience muscle. Over time, patience becomes identity. And once patience is identity, wealth building becomes effortless, because no internal conflict remains. Most people feel they are fighting themselves to save or invest. Quiet accumulators no longer feel this fight. Their identity aligns with their behavior. I am a person who plans long. I am a person who lives below my means. I am a person who lets time work. Identity locks behavior in place. Behavior repeated invites compounding. Compounding produces results. Results reinforce identity. The loop completes itself. Another quiet truth about time is that it reduces complexity. In the short term, investing feels complex. Many options, many opinions, many predictions, many strategies. In the long term, only a few principles matter. Spend less than you earn. Invest the surplus. Avoid catastrophic loss. Wait. Time smooths everything else. Quiet accumulators keep strategies simple because they trust time more than tactics. They do not chase perfect timing. They do not chase perfect assets. They do not chase perfect knowledge. They chase durability. Durable habits. Durable strategies. Durable psychology. Durability is what allows time to function. If a strategy cannot survive boredom, it will not survive decades. Quiet accumulators choose strategies that can survive boredom. Boredom is not a problem. Boredom is proof of sustainability. If something feels too exciting, it is usually too risky. If something feels steady, it is usually robust. Quiet accumulators learn to appreciate steady. Steady is where compounding lives. Another layer of time is forgiveness. Time forgives small mistakes. Time forgives imperfect decisions. Time forgives minor missteps. But only if you remain in the game. If you quit, time cannot help you. If you panic, time cannot help you. If you abandon the process, time cannot help you. Quiet accumulators understand that perfection is not required. Persistence is. This understanding removes pressure. No need to time the market perfectly. No need to pick perfect investments. No need to always spend optimally. Just stay reasonable. Stay consistent. Stay invested. Time will handle the rest. One of the most beautiful aspects of compounding is that it eventually becomes visible. For many years, progress feels internal. Then one day, without drama, numbers become meaningful. Options become real. Freedom becomes tangible. But by the time it arrives, the person has already adapted to the lifestyle. They do not explode into reckless spending. They simply continue being who they became. This is why quiet wealth builders remain quiet even after success. Their identity formed before wealth arrived. Wealth simply gave that identity more space. This is the final lesson of time and compounding. Time does not just grow money, it grows character. It grows patience, it grows perspective. And when money and character grow together, wealth becomes safe, not dangerous, not corrupting, not destabilizing, just supportive. The next part explores the final posture of quiet wealth, the way of living that emerges once all these patterns integrate into daily life. By this point in the journey, a pattern has quietly formed. Not a strategy, not a rule book, but a posture. A way of standing inside life. A way of relating to money. A way of moving through the world without the tension most people carry around wealth. This is the quiet wealth posture. It is not visible. It is not announced. It does not seek recognition, but it changes everything. The quiet wealth posture begins with a simple internal shift. Money is no longer something to chase. It is something to steward. No longer a symbol of success. No longer a measure of worth. Simply a resource that flows through a life built with intention. When this shift settles, urgency fades. There is no rush to prove, no rush to display, no rush to catch up. Only direction. Direction is powerful because it replaces comparison. A person with direction does not look sideways constantly. They look forward, they know where they are going, even if the steps are small, even if progress is slow, even if no one notices. Quiet accumulators live by direction, not competition. Competition is exhausting. Direction is calming. Most people are running races they never chose. Racing neighbors, racing colleagues, racing strangers online. Racing imaginary timelines. Quiet wealth builders step out of these races. They design their own pace. Their pace is steady. Steady means sustainable. Sustainable means repeatable. Repeatable means compounding. Again, the loop closes. The quiet wealth posture also changes how a person relates to work. Most people work to support a lifestyle. Quiet accumulators design lifestyle to support freedom. Work becomes a contributor, not a master. They may work hard, they may build businesses, they may pursue careers, but always with an eye on autonomy, not image. Autonomy is the true prize. Autonomy to choose projects. Autonomy to leave environments that drain. Autonomy to rest when needed. Autonomy to say no without fear. Quiet wealth builders rarely announce this autonomy. They simply live it. From the outside, nothing looks dramatic. From the inside, everything is different. This is the quiet wealth posture: external normality, internal freedom. Another element of this posture is calm relationship with uncertainty. Most people fear uncertainty because they are financially fragile. Quiet accumulators accept uncertainty because they are financially resilient. They know surprises will happen. They plan for them. They have margin. Margin absorbs shock. Shock no longer dictates decisions. Decisions remain thoughtful. This stability is deeply attractive. Not flashy, but trustworthy. Quiet wealth builders become anchors in families, communities, and relationships. Not because they display wealth, but because they radiate steadiness. Steadiness is rare. Rare qualities create rare outcomes. Another aspect of the quiet wealth posture is generosity without performance. When wealth is invisible, generosity becomes sincere. Quiet accumulators help others quietly. They support family. They donate. They assist when needed. But they do not use generosity as marketing. Their giving does not require applause. This reinforces inner dignity, and dignity is the quiet twin of wealth. Money without dignity collapses into insecurity. Money with dignity becomes serviceable. Quiet wealth builders naturally protect dignity because they have already detached from performance. This posture also transforms aging. Most people fear aging because their income is tied to youth, energy, and speed. Quiet accumulators age with less fear. They have built structures that support them. They have time, they have margin, they have independence. Their later years are not desperate, they are spacious. This is one of the most overlooked purposes of wealth building. Not luxury, but graceful aging. Time becomes an ally, not a threat. This is why the millionaire next door is rarely anxious about retirement. They have been preparing quietly for decades. Retirement is not a cliff. It is a gentle transition. Another quiet truth: once wealth becomes stable, the mind becomes clearer. Financial anxiety consumes cognitive bandwidth. Bills, debt, pressure, comparison, fear, these occupy attention. Quiet accumulators remove much of this noise. With noise reduced, clarity emerges. Clarity improves decisions in every area of life: health, relationships, work, creativity, parenting, community. This is why quiet wealth has impact beyond money. It frees the mind. A free mind builds better life. A better life reinforces contentment. Contentment reinforces modest consumption. Modest consumption reinforces surplus. And the loop completes again. The quiet wealth posture is self-sustaining. At this stage, wealth building is no longer effort. It is simply how life is organized. There is no internal struggle, no willpower battles, no constant temptation. The person has become the system, and this is the ultimate transformation. Not becoming rich, but becoming someone for whom wealth naturally grows. This is what the millionaire next door truly represents. Not a person with $1 million, but a person with $1 million posture toward life. Ordinary on the outside, extraordinary in stability. Quiet in presence. Powerful in outcome. And once this posture is adopted, it does not end. It continues. It extends into children, into community, into future generations, into a lineage of calm financial wisdom. No spectacle. No spotlight. No noise. Just quiet continuity. As this listening draws gently to a close, there is nothing to memorize, nothing to force, nothing to immediately change. The purpose of this journey was never to push you toward action in a rush. It was to let a quieter understanding settle beneath the surface, where real decisions are shaped over time. Quiet wealth is not dramatic. It does not arrive with fireworks. It arrives the way dawn arrives slowly, almost unnoticed, until suddenly the world is brighter than before. Many people search for wealth like treasure hunters chasing glitter. Few realize that the richest outcomes come from living differently, not chasing differently. The millionaire next door does not win by outpacing others. They win by outlasting impulses. They do not defeat competitors. They defeat fragility. They do not conquer markets. They master their own reactions. This is the silent victory that no one applauds, but everyone eventually desires. What makes this path powerful is that it is available to ordinary people. Not only the lucky, not only the gifted, not only the privileged, but anyone willing to live slightly below their means, slightly beyond their impulses, and slightly ahead in time horizon. These small slightlies compound into extraordinary differences. There is no secret trick here, only quiet arithmetic. Spend less than you earn. Protect the surplus. Invest patiently. Avoid catastrophic loss. Let time pass. Repeat, simple does not mean easy, but simple does mean possible. And possible is the most important word in financial life. Because once a person believes wealth is possible through calm consistency rather than dramatic risk, fear loosens its grip. When fear loosens, clarity arrives. When clarity arrives, choices improve. When choices improve, trajectories change. Most financial stress is not about numbers. It is about uncertainty. Quiet wealth reduces uncertainty. It does not eliminate life surprises, but it softens their impact, creates breathing room, and breathing room is where dignity lives. Dignity is waking without panic. Dignity is choosing work rather than being trapped by it. Dignity is handling emergencies without collapse. Dignity is aging without fear. This dignity is the true dividend of quiet wealth. And by the time a person reaches this place, money no longer feels like the point. It feels like the byproduct of a steady life. A life where patience replaced impulse, where direction replaced comparison, where identity detached from display, where time became ally, not enemy. If there is a single thread connecting everything in this audiobook, it is this: wealth grows best where urgency dies. When urgency dies, patience lives. When patience lives, consistency lives. When consistency lives, compounding lives. When compounding lives, freedom arrives. Not loudly, not suddenly, surely. And the most beautiful part is that nothing here requires perfection. You can start small, start imperfect, start late, start quietly. Time will still work with you as long as you remain in the game, so there is nothing left to add, no command, no pressure, no final instruction, only a gentle invitation: live slightly below your means. Think slightly longer than others. Move slightly calmer than the crowd. Care slightly less about display. Care slightly more about stability. Over years, these slight differences become life-changing distances. For now, allow these ideas to rest. Let them sink where they belong. No rush, no performance, no demand. Quiet wealth is not built in a day. It is built in days, lived quietly, and that is enough. The listening fades. Silence remains, and the journey continues slowly, steadily, quietly, exactly as it should.